Hey y'all, it's Jeremy Osterberger. We're live at the Gulf Coast Industry Forum hosted by the Economic Alliance Houston Port Region. I am with Rick Campo, Port Commission Chairman for Port Houston. Rick, how we doing?
I'm doing great, thanks. Just finished in my presentation, so all good.
That's the hard part. Now you're just on camera with me. So,
Exactly.
Rick, let's get into Project 11. Where are we at with Project 11 and widening and deepening the ship channel?
Sure. Project 11 is well underway. We've started dredging. We started dredging about 8 or 9 months ago. So the Project 11 is a deepening and widening. So we're widening the Bay Reach part of the channel from 530 feet to 700 feet. And it'll make it a safer, quicker transit, through the channel. And then we're deepening the channel further up past the Bay Reach part of it. And right now it's just in a great shape. We've issued about $500 million of contracts to dredging companies so far, and we're 82% funded for the whole channel, which is huge and very unusual for a project like this. So it's all good.
So, Rick, talk about that dredging schedule. Has it started yet, and when is it going to be done?
Sure. So the dredging started about 6 months ago, 8 months ago, something like that. And the Bay Reach part of the channel will be done by the end of 2024. And the upper reaches of the channel should be done by the end of 2025, early 2026. It's important because when you think about a normal federal project like this, it usually takes a whole lot longer, probably 2035 best case, and we're going to finish it in 8 or 9 years quicker.
Rick, what does this investment mean for the refining, petrochemical, and midstream business here in the ship channel?
So what it means is they'll be able to get their ships in and out on a more effective and efficient way, right? Rather than waiting for traffic to clear, the traffic will go. It's like a freeway. So think about it. You're taking a 2-lane road to a 4-lane road, right? And so it just makes everything flow better, and it should make their business more efficient, less costly to bring goods in and goods out.
Rick, the project's huge as far as finances go. Talk about the funding of the project.
Well, generally speaking, the way a federal project works is that it's 65% paid for by the federal government and 35% by the local entity, which would be the Port of Houston. This project, we flipped that, so the Port of Houston is paying 70% of the cost, and the federal government will pay 30-ish% of the cost, and that's allowed us to speed the project up big time because we don't have to go through federal appropriations except for a smaller amount. And then the other part of it is we did a huge investment, $40 million of designing the project before it was even approved, so it was shovel ready the minute we got approval. So that sped our time up. It's $1 billion, and the port's going to put in roughly $700 million, and the federal government $300 million.
Yeah. Incredible, yeah. So, Rick, let me ask you this: are some other ports around the country are they gonna have to do this type of investment? What are some other major ports looking at?
Yeah, so I think all ports need to be expanded. There's no question about it. Our supply chain challenges really have to do with infrastructure or the lack of infrastructure investments that we've made over the years. The biggest challenge that most ports have is they don't have the funds to do it. Fortunately, here in Houston, we do have the funds to go ahead and pre-fund the federal government piece of it. And so every port in America has the same issue. They just need more land side, more water side, and more investments in infrastructure.
And it's a global ecosystem for the maritime industry.
Absolutely, it's just the port is just one part of it, right? We need better roadways, we need more trucks, we need more efficient rail lines, and so the supply chain challenges is not just one issue. Even if we had more capacity at the port, we couldn't get it out of the port because of the chassis issues and trucking issues.
Rick, so much focus on emissions and meeting carbon goals over the next 30, 50 years. There is a 2050 goal for Port Houston. Tell us about it.
Right. We've set a stake in the ground that is we're going to be carbon neutral by 2050. We already started programs to get there because you don't just get there overnight. It's a kind of an incremental step process. For example, our ship-to-shore cranes are all electric, so we now are buying electric. We're buying clean electricity through solar farms, 100% asset-backed solar contracts, things like that. We're also refitting our diesel engines to hybrid diesel and level 4 diesel engines, which are a lot cleaner and will take us to that goal.
Rick, more broadly, what are some of the challenges for the marine industry to meet 2035 and 2050 emissions goals?
Yeah, the biggest challenge is money. I mean, when we get down to it, because if you buy let's say a crane or a RTG, for example, and it has a dirty diesel engine, well, it has a 15-year life. And so are you going to just throw away a machine that has a 15-year life? And so the answer is tough, because it is tough when you think about the greening is expensive. And so the real biggest, I think the biggest challenge we have in America and just maritime wise is, where's the money going to come from to actually be green and or to get greener? And that's the biggest challenge I think we have, not just in maritime, but in the global, sort of challenge of greening, going to carbon neutral by 2050.
Rick, we thank you for your time. Thanks for the update on Project 11 in Port Houston.
Absolutely, thanks.